People who worked in restaurants, what was the worst customer that you had to deal with? After a wedding reception ended at our facility we were cleaning, and I began the cleaning process on our espresso machine. The party was over almost a half hour already. The process takes 12 minutes. People were still there as the party slowly let out, and the father of the bride asks me for an espresso. I told him I could get it to him, as we have a strict policy of always trying to satisfy our guests' needs, but the machine was cleaning, and it would be done in about 10 minutes. He begins ranting about how much he paid for the wedding, and stormed to our banquets manager, and told them I refused to make it for him. Manager is at bag and starts ripping me in front of the guy. I show both of them that the machine is just finishing the cleaning process, and it was impossible to make it beforehand. I got suspended for 2 weeks. Work in a place that is frequented by local families and youth sports teams. On Sundays this one large group of people always come in, and they are the worst. The parents drink and ignore their preteens who run around playing games in the entire restaurant, disrupting everyone else. They have tried to walk in a party of 45 during end of year sports party season, when we are booked solid, and get mad that there isn't enough space for them. And they modify everything like crazy and leave zero in a tip. It's at least once a month the entire group comes in, and weekly for some of the individual families. Edit. Wow, thanks for the upvotes. Been a rough time, like unbelievably, and this oddly helped. Also I'm not a server. I'm a cook who happens to take orders, pour beer, run food, clear tables, and do dishes. But primarily I cook. This is the reason many restaurants have an automatic gratuity on parties above a certain size. One large party can steal a server's entire evening, and having them not tip is painful. Way back in the 80s I worked in a restaurant that was a favorite of a celebrity chef of those days, Jeff Smith, the frugal gourmet. Never seen a bigger shat than that guy. Literally make our servers cry. Nothing was ever right. He was beyond rude and condescending, yet he kept coming back. He had a reputation of being a jerk off camera. Eventually he was disgraced by being outed as a child predator and was quickly forgotten by all. Our restaurant was a good place. Another celebrity chef of the time, Graham Kerr, the galloping gourmet, was always a pleasure to have visit. In his day, Graham Kerr had the energy level of Gordon Ramsay, the health consciousness of Paula Deen, and the gleeful euphoria of man well acquainted with ecstasy. He was fun to watch. On the other side of this, I've been out to eat with people at a restaurant with clearly a long wait line out the door, and felt awkward sitting around chatting. Like, welp, we should get going, or at least talk outside or something. I don't understand people who aren't conscious of what's going on around them. I really had to get used to restaurants having lines outside when I was abroad. I'm from the Netherlands, and if you go out for dinner, not including fast food, the staff will expect you to stay all night. Similar to France. It's really a full night out going for dinner, and then coffee, then maybe some drinks, and they don't expect you to eat and leave. You can easily be there from 1800 hours to 2200 hours and it's normal. We don't have free refills though, so the bill does rack up. Things are changing at the moment though, with all you can eat in 2 hours, restaurants becoming more popular, and in touristy areas there's also a higher turnover. I have been seated at a 4-seat table when eating alone, and when there is a huge wait I often invite the people waiting to eat with me. Not like paying for them or anything, just sit and eat, so they don't have a half-hour wait. I once had an Olive Garden pasta pass and everyone at my table would get free sodas, and I would offer people to sit with me to save time and get free drinks. No one ever took me up on it. Sucks to be ugly. That started out so well. That last sentence interrupted my smile. I'm sorry no one ever joined you, but you're sweet. Busy Friday night. Hey, it's going to be a 15-minute wait for a table. Host proceeds to seat people who were there first, but they see a dirty table, so the host is obviously terrible at their job and go sit at it, asking the first person they see to clean it for them while demanding drinks. A guy hated this. Some people really don't get the concept of there being a waiting list either. Like, just because you see a table doesn't mean it's automatically for you. Worked in a popular restaurant for a while. We usually have quite a long wait, 30-40 minutes waits, during dinner service, and people are told by the hosts about this. There was this lady that got fed up with the wait after 10 minutes. She stormed into the restaurant, stood next to a table of 4 people and literally asked them, "Are you guys done? We've been waiting for a long time now and would like to have the table if you guys are just chatting." Was completely mind blown how people are able to not give a fuck and pull something like this in public. Barista here. Had a guy that regularly came in and ordered a complicated drink. He always finished the order by asking for a finger swirl in the drink. If you gave him a confused look, he would say, "Well, how else am I gonna taste you?" He was the worst. Oh god, I had a similar dude when I was in college. Said to me to stick my finger into the beer bottle so he could taste something sweet, mayo. I worked in Domino's. I had a guy throw a handful of pennies at me while laughing. The 30 odd cents was my tip. He was mad when I turned around and walked away without picking any of them up. His exact words were, "Oh, my money not good enough for you? Fine. I'll never order Domino's again." I've never had a customer fire themselves like that before. It was great. I love when the "I'll never come back" threat comes out. Like, you think my salary is at all affected by you coming in? Please never come back. It's one less person to yell at me. A homeless guy who came in, actively dripping of blood from his hands, and started screaming at me and threatening me because I wouldn't give him a bakery case item without him paying. He was dripping blood all over the counter and spitting everywhere until I threatened to call the cops. A huge group of clearly rich kids who came in, stole a bunch of drinks, and left the dining room trashed. A guy who *DEMANDED* I take money from our tip jar to help him pay for his order, and argued with me when I said no. People who would place large orders or even take home a cake and eat half of it, then flip their shit and demand a refund when they'd find out it was all vegan, even though that fact was well advertised. Our bar was having a private party. A drunk dude walks in and orders a drink. I knew he wasn't with the party based on his attire and that he came in every so often. I told him I couldn't get him a drink. He lost his mind, told me to fuck off, and then wanted to fight me. On his way out he yelled that we should put up signs as he walked by the signs on the door saying we were closed for a private event. He came in the next day sober and apologized. Bartending in a restaurant a few years ago. There was a private party and one of the guests asked me to plug in his iPhone to listen to a song. No big deal. I did it and he tipped me $20. He left his phone behind the bar and got wasted. When he was leaving I said, "Sir, don't forget about your phone." He threw a beer on me and told me to leave him the fuck alone and told me get a real job. Guess who got to keep a nice new iPhone? We had someone do a runner once and they left their phone. Reasonably expensive one, although this was over 10 years ago, so I can't remember if they were as much as they are now. He sheepishly came back the next day asking if one had been handed in. Our boss said no and kept the phone. Fast food near a high school. The absolute worst were the moms. Had one who came in weekly and screamed about wrong orders or whatever complaint she could dream up, so she could get free food for her entire family. Then you get the loser douches who think harassing employees is funny. The absolute worst customer was the owner of the franchise. He'd walk in, test employees and then fire someone for some issue so minor it was likely just made up. I worked at a chain restaurant at one point and our douche of a regional manager would come in and do this. He never had people fired. He would just grade you on our pushing of the new menu items and overall knowledge of the menu. It was super cringe inducing. I fucking hated that job. A customer ordered one of our daily specials and didn't like it, so instead of complaining to me about the food and letting me offer something else, she complained to my manager about me. This was May of last year. In August of last year, turns out she was one of my college professors for the semester, teaching a management course. She recognized me the first day, but I played it off like I didn't know her. Edit. She did not complain about me to my manager in front of me. I left to go work an event in a different building. and she left a sticky note for me after talking to my boss. I don't know what the sticky note said, since I didn't bother to read it. My friend works at restaurant. A vlogger was shooting a video, and since it was allowed within the place, nobody troubled her. Apparently she wanted one of those gone sexual clickbait thumbnails, so she asked my friend to place his face in her breast while she squirted ketchup on herself. My friend refused as he was in a relationship, but some other employee agreed to do so. After they shot the thumbnail, she marched in the next day claiming sexual assault. I don't know what happened after that, but it did not turn out good for the liar. I worked at a Vietnamese restaurant back in high school, and I had a Viet family come in to eat. They gave me snobby vibe the entire time, especially after I told them I couldn't speak Vietnamese. They ordered regular pho, but asked for no cilantro, so I rang the order in with no cilantro. It came out with cilantro in it, and I told the kitchen what the family asked. The kitchen told me they couldn't do anything about it, so I told my manager, and they told me to ask the family if they still wanted it. Family said yes, so I brought it out, and they took out the cilantro and ate the entire thing. At the end of the meal they spoke to the owner and complained how I got their order completely wrong, got the food for free, and got their bill taken out of my pay. The owner told me I should remove the cilantro myself. Shitty management, shitty customer. Edit. I was not angry that the customer ordered no cilantro. I was upset at the fact that they abused their rights by asking not to pay for their food when they clearly ate everything. Also, it's been a few years, haha. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you would like to see more, feel free to subscribe.